now listening to the Jca Sports Podcast on Spotify and Anchor.
Hey, hi everybody. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Jca Sports Podcast here on Facebook. Facebook Live, guys. Make sure you also follow us on our social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, and also we are live also on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Here with my lovely co-host Jose, who I dearly, dearly missed on Monday. What's going on, Jose?
I know you miss me. You always miss me, as you should, Eric. As you should. But hey, regardless of the fact, Deontay and CP did a great job. They did an outstanding job. Thank you to them for coming in, filling in. You guys, NBA talk with them was absolutely amazing. So, shout out to them, man. I can't wait to hear them both with their show coming up very soon.
Yeah, for sure, man. Again, big thanks to Deontay and TP coming in clutch for me since he wasn't here, him nor John. But we're missing John today, but for personal reasons, I got Jose. Jose, we got a great show. We're going to preview Game 2 tonight as we have an hour left till tip-off. Well, 58 minutes to be exact for Game 2 between the Bucks and the Bulls. Inside of the game, we're going to get a few questions. And also we have our special guest, Rick Aguilar, the founder of Crack One Media, will be joining us and momentarily in a little bit. But Jose, I want to get your thoughts. What should the Bulls do differently for Game 2 for them to get the W?
Oof. Have a better shooting percentage, Eric. Better. How about this? Better shot selection. That's. Okay. I think that was the one thing I took away from last game that I was kind of, very critical of. That the biggest one was that Zach LaVine 3 from almost so it was just so far away, bro. And I'm like, why are you doing that? You still have 18 seconds left in the shot clock. You pull up, you shoot a 3. That was so dumb. I liked what they did with Vooch with the screen, having him shoot threes. He missed a lot of them. He could make those shots, and he made a few.
Yeah.
Do a little bit more of that. Involve DeRozan. DeRozan wasn't that bad all year. He missed shots that he normally makes. So I think just a better over shot selection. It's gonna help that percentage, and they'll score some points.
Yeah, for sure. Vooch was the leading scorer game 1 with 24, and also led the team in rebounds too. With 17, I believe it was. The one thing that I enjoyed the most of seeing Vooch is actually he was getting his points kind of the dirty way too, down low. I kind of, for about maybe a quarter and a half, that there's a vulnerability to the Chicago Bulls. To the Milwaukee Bucks and the way that they played. But other than shot selections and a better shooting percentage, Jose, who needs to step it up for tonight's game?
Easy, Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine all the way. Look, this is the year. This is where you prove it that you're worth all the money that you're expected to get. Mm-hmm. You're not. If you don't get the max here in Chicago, you're gonna get it somewhere. He's gonna get paid. But you got to prove what everyone thinks you are, what you're trying to prove to be. And that is a star, a superstar. And there's no better place to do it in the playoffs. There's no better place to do it in the playoffs. This is where he's supposed to step up. You've seen all these younger players, Anthony Edwards in Minnesota, who are just going off. And this is their first time in the playoffs. Zach LaVine, you're a much stronger player than they are. You're a much better overall player. Show it. I get he's injured, and maybe that's just deterring him a little bit, but you got to show it, man. You got to prove it here. It's a prove it year. This right here. This is the Mecca for you. This is the end all be all. Show us you can lead this team. Win 2 games. Look, I think you and I both know we both expect them to lose this series, but at the same time, go out with a fight. What they did last game was amazing. I was impressed. I was happy that they at least fought their way And they even led at some point in the fourth quarter. Milwaukee's an overall better team. You know how I feel about Giannis. I think he's the overall best player in the league right now.
I'm surprised you're not wearing his jersey right now.
If I had one, I would be. Trust me. But
you have one, bro.
I don't. I wish I should have gotten one when I worked at the store. But yeah. Again, you know how I feel about Giannis.
Right.
Milwaukee are the defending champions for a reason.
Right.
But if you're the Chicago Bulls, you have talent. All right. You have an MVP-like player in DeMar DeRozan, at least this year. You have Zach LaVine, who again, he's slated to be a star, prove it. And then you have pieces like Vucevic, Patrick Williams, Alex Caruso. Dusumu was hot all year long. Come on, guys. You know what I mean? Prove it. That's it.
Guys, for sure. Hey, you're listening to the Jca Sports Podcast here on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms too as well. We're continuing the Bulls talk just a little bit later on in the show, but right now we have our special guest coming in the fold. We got our boy here, Rick, the founder of Crack One Media. If that sounds familiar to you guys, it's because that's also where we have our baseball insider, Antonio Naya. But this is the main guy right here that we want to talk to, Rick Aguilar here. Rick, welcome to the show, man.
Hey guys, what's up? Hey, I'm happy to be here. Rick. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Thank you for jumping on with us, man. Well, quick question though. Crack One Media, man. How did it all start, and where did you get the idea of actually starting a blog?
So I had done podcasts before. Well, I had done one podcast before with some buddies, and through doing that, I was like, man, this is really cool, right? Like I enjoy doing the podcast. I like, just kind of going in there, editing it, putting out a product. People were listening, and I enjoyed it. So I had stopped that podcast with my friends, and then just a few months later, I had started the flagship, I guess, show for Crack One Media right now. It's called Big League Chicago. So we talk about pretty much all the major league sports of Chicago: Bulls, Bears, Blackhawks, Cubs, Sox, and started that as a one-man show. Eventually got a co-host, Jack, and I had started that in August of last year, and then November I decided, I was like, you know what, I need a blog. I figured, more stuff on Big League, on just Chicago sports would be great. And I figured a blog would be good to complement the podcast. So I started up a website. I had already had the Instagram ready to go. Crack One Media was already the name. And yeah, I started in November, reached out to a couple of people on Instagram, on Reddit, Craigslist, also, to come on to blog. And you mentioned Tony, the Cubs writer for Crack One Media. He's written some really good ones. You could tell he's a Cubs fan from his blogs. I'm sure y'all can.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of where it's been so far. We've added another show ever since then called Only Football, where me and my co-host Kyle talk NFL news. It's a little slow right now, but yeah, we started talking NFL news, and eventually we're going to get into live streams, breaking down games and things like that. So 2 shows and a blog right now is what we got on Crack One Media.
That's awesome. Only Football. Hey, I'll tell you what, when it comes to football, it's rarely ever slow. So if you're in a slow period right now, trust me, it won't last long, especially with the draft coming up in a couple of weeks.
That's true. That's true, man. And especially with Debo, announcing he wanted to trade. So that's definitely going to be a topic. This offseason has been crazy. So Only Football, I feel like we started it almost like the right time too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm definitely going to be tuning in for that for sure. Tony, Rick, here we are, game 2 of the first round with the Bulls and Bucks. We've seen the Bulls put up a fight in game number 1 against the Milwaukee Bucks, but this time around, I think both teams are going to come out a little bit better. The Bucks will have a little bit more edge. They're at home. The crowd's going to have the Fear the Deer shirts all white. It's going to be crazy, electrifying. I mean, they're the defending champs for a reason.
Yep.
What do you see playing out in this game? Do you see the Bulls maybe coming back, I guess putting on a better show, or do you see the Bucks just dominating?
What I would like to see and what I would expect to see, right, is you could tell in that first quarter from game 1, the Bulls, the inexperience was there. And I'm not talking about like, just like DeMar or Vooch or anything like that, but just the team as a whole, right? This is the first time Zach has played in the playoffs in his entire career. Dosunmu, rookie. Vooch isn't used to being like the second option, right? Like when he was in Orlando, he was the first option, scoring 30 plus points in a few games there. So the overall, I guess, inexperience was kind of there, and the Bucks started off 9-0 on a 9-0 run.
Yeah.
You could tell that they were just being a little bit more physical than the Bulls. And for this game too, what I'm expecting or what I would like to see is for them to come out a little bit stronger, a little bit tougher. You mentioned, when you guys were talking about with Vooch getting points the dirty way, like him using his size. He's not really that strong, but his size, like getting in the paint and playing tougher, pretty much, like not letting the moment get to them as much as it did in those first like 5-10 minutes of the first quarter.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that was the surprising one for me for sure. Was Vooch going down low and getting him the dirty way. Guys, you're listening to the Jca Sports Podcast here on Facebook Live with Rick Aguilar here from Crack One Media, the founder of Crack One Media. I have the link on the stream, guys. If you want to join the show, if you want to ask Rick a question, you guys are more than welcome. Always the comment section is available for you guys too as well. So, Rick, I asked Jose the question, who needs to step up for game 2? Same question applies. Who needs to step it up for you for game 2?
Honestly, I think, Jose said Zach. I think DeMar absolutely needs to step it up. 18 points, horrible shooting night for him. He's been money from mid-range the entire season. And I remember during the All-Star game, Luka was like, hey, man, do you ever miss from the mid-range? And he's like, yeah, I miss. Like once, he's like, yeah, but you missed like 2 times, right? And then, game 1, he missed probably as many shots as he did all the regular season, because that guy does not miss from the mid-range. And Zach, like you said, Jose, like definitely needs to step it up in his first playoff appearance to earn that contract. But I think what's really going to propel the Bulls to make this a good series and maybe take one in Milwaukee is DeMar getting those easy, I don't want to say easy shots, but those shots that he has consistently made throughout the entire regular season.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. That's a good point. DeMar DeRozan he was pretty much the leader this entire season. So he has to show it. He has to bring that leadership back in here. If he has to take over the game, do what he does best. And that's what he's been doing. And that's why he was an MVP candidate in the beginning of the season. That being said, if you're Coach Billy Donovan, what adjustments do you make in this game based off last game against Milwaukee?
First thing I would say is maybe not have the entire team guard Giannis. I think having a consistent 1 to 2 guy rotation on Giannis would be a little bit more effective on him. Just because game 1, it was like I saw Ayo guarding him. I saw Caruso doing it. I saw Vooch doing it. P. Will was on him a little bit. Like, I was like, okay, who's left on the bench now to guard Giannis? It seemed like everybody was on Giannis at one point. And I feel like maybe stick to I don't know, maybe P. Will or Caruso, because Caruso during the regular season was on him during the one game we won, or we beat them, or I'm sorry, we didn't beat them, but he was very effective against Giannis, right? And I think maybe either Caruso or maybe like P. Will, because Vooch is definitely a little bit slower on defense. Especially when it comes to a guy like Giannis, who's just big, strong, and just gets his baskets no matter what. So I think like the defensive shifts there need to be a little bit better, a little bit more consistent, at least on Giannis, because when Giannis was out of the game, those few minutes during like I want to say maybe the second or third quarter when he was in a bit of foul trouble, that's when you really saw the Bulls in transition and just in the post with Vooch making those shots, and that's how they clawed back from that 16-point deficit. And, obviously Giannis is a force, but I think just a little bit more consistency on the defense on Giannis should work for game 2.
He brings up a good point because they were double teaming, triple teaming him, and you started to see him slow down. Obviously, you can never stop Giannis, right? But you can slow him down a little bit. And those foul trouble got him slowing down. He can't play a full 48 minutes. He can't. The guy his size, he's gonna get tired. But you make a good point. When he's out of the game, you take advantage. You have to, absolutely. And
especially when he's in foul trouble like that, 3-4 fouls, like early third quarter, like attack that guy, because he's gonna that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna try to not do anything.
Yeah, that 13-0 run in the third quarter was everything for the Chicago Bulls, and it actually gave the Bulls the momentum and turned the game on its head for sure. And that's in the game 1. The question I'm gonna pose, man, and it's a simple one, real easy. Do the Bulls even the series today, or we come back home down 2-0?
Man, it really depends on the adjustments. I would love to see them even the series because just getting one game in Milwaukee in a playoff scenario like this, just in a vibe like that, I think it would really kind of turn the series around. I'm a Bulls fan through and through. I love them and I love when they're good, but I just can't see them getting through this first round from the defending champs. Like Jose said, man, I think they do lose this one again. But if they can make any adjustments, because they only lost by 7 game 1, right? If they can only make a few minor adjustments, if DeMar could shoot a little bit better, even just DeMar shooting a little bit better already puts them in a better position. I don't think they got out of game 2 with a dub, but I think when it comes to Chicago and the home crowd is there and DeMar's back at home and Zach's feeling it a little bit more, right? Like I think they take a game 3 dub, but I think they go into Chicago 0-2.
Yeah, going into the comments, Deontay Jones, he agrees with you. DeMar definitely has to play better. He does. I mean, but again, it was. I think last game was kind of an anomaly for him. Like he makes those shots.
Yeah.
Mid range shots are just they go in like water. You know what I mean? There's nothing to him. But maybe like as you said, a little bit of inexperience in the playoffs. You know, he hasn't been there in a while. You know, with this team is inexperienced overall. Other than Caruso, I mean, I think Vooch hasn't smelled the playoffs.
Tristan Thompson, he won the championship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vooch had one playoff series with Orlando, and that's kind of why when they picked him up, that's how they like got DeMar there, because Vooch was like, oh, Zach LaVine's a fucking all-star, right? Vooch pretty much got DeMar there, and that's again, he's not the first option, right? He scored 24, but he's used to being the first option, but luckily he has had some playoff experience as a big.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, still very small experience. But you know what? This team has a bright future. I'm excited for this team. Whether win or lose, we have something going here for sure. We just got to see what we do in the offseason in order to to improve it, right? Of course, Lonzo Ball is in here with us as well. You know, with him there, that high tempo offense is always going to be come in handy as well. The referees, in my opinion, played a part last game, Rick.
Yep.
They played a huge part. You know, that foul that they called on what was it? Was it Levine?
P. Will.
No, I'm Patrick Williams. Like, what the hell? That over the back. Like, what? Really?
Yeah.
Like, if I was him, I should have I would have flopped and just fell on the ground. Like, that was big as hell.
And that was like one of the things that I was watching, and I was like, they kept showing the replay, and it's like he was Giannis had 5 fouls at that time, right? That would have been a 6. He would have been out the game. That becomes a different game. Now it becomes a closer game. You know, you have Middleton there, Drew Holiday, right? That's yeah. Like I get those guys can definitely step it up, but that was a foul, man. That was a foul on Giannis all day. There's no way P. Will can give him a place to land if the guy's jumping over him. He was about to leapfrog him. How are you not going to call the foul on Giannis at that point?
And that's what I'm saying. Giannis being that big, like just fall to the ground. Like, hey, show the ref. This guy is literally on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But look, we all know that this has been happening since the Michael Jordan days. Like, the superstars get the calls. They're going to get, more often than not, the benefit of the doubt. It sucks because in this series, the superstar is on the other team. But how do the Bulls? How do they overcome that?
That's the thing, man. And I think it's the inexperience, right? Like DeMar's going to get calls for sure, but when like you said, superstars, Giannis has surpassed him as a superstar.
Yep.
He's going to get those calls, but I think what the refs are going to do are going to realize that, hey, we missed that call game 1. We're going to try to be a little bit more fair. We're going to try to, because the refs do have these conversations, right? In pregame meetings or whatever, they have okay, we missed that call. We're going to try to call a fairer game, especially on the side of the Bulls. Maybe make some more calls against DeMar, maybe some more against Zach. But you know, when you had mentioned the flopping on P. Wills, and you know that, I think that just goes to show that there's definitely a lot of inexperience with P. Will, and he had his rookie year. He had a few games this season, came back from injury. So that, you know, the first thing on his mind is probably like, I want to get this rebound.
Yeah.
I want to get scoring going, right?
Yep.
And again, it's just the inexperience, but the refs really did kind of screw the Bulls on that call. And again, it just would have been a way more different game had Giannis fouled out of game 1.
Yep.
100%. 100%. And I think that was, we could blame the refs for that missed call. We could blame Vooch for the missed layup, 2 that he had. Zach LaVine with the ill-advised jump shot with like 55 seconds left. I know I'm over exaggerating a little bit, but around that time, taking that jump shot, not fouling right away since he was already on 5 fouls. But once the Bulls get swept, Rick, the big question. It's true. It's true. It's true, man. It's true. Okay, I say it's done in 4. You guys at least give them the gentleman's sweep and giving them 1.
Yeah.
But once the Bulls get swept in this playoff season, Rick, the Bulls have a big decision to make at the end of the year, and that's whether or not to give Zach LaVine the max contract. Would you give Zach LaVine that max contract?
I think personally, I would give Zach the contract. You know, he came to us on literally right after I think a ACL or an MCL, whatever it was. Like, nobody believed he was going to come back and be as productive as he's been for the Bulls, right? He's been there for the hard times. He's here now for the playoffs. As a fan, you know, as like a homer fan, I would 100% give him that deal, that max deal that he wants. And, you know, he deserves. I think he's like 26 years old, right? He's still young. He's still playing at a pretty high level. And I think the pairing with DeMar, even though everybody said it wasn't going to work, obviously has worked and obviously has upped his game. You know, you saw that throughout the season. I think I give him the max deal. DeMar's on the deal that he's on, and that's kind of it. And then bring some more free agent buzz to the Bulls, which is something that I feel like is completely lacked in the last 5 years. So I would give him the deal. Yeah, longer, honestly. And that's what I would do. I would give him the deal because then it kind of shows like, okay, you have AK there. You have Billy Donovan. You have DeMar for another 2-3 years. If we really show that we're trying to win with Zach and DeMar as our 1 and 2 punch, and then, you know, with P. Will, if he really gets to that level, Vooch maybe not so much, but if we really show that we're committed to these guys, free agents are going to want to come here. And with that max deal, I think they really get to that level and that point of like, hey, we're a free agent destination. Come here. We're on the cusp of a championship.
Yeah, I think they proved that this year. You know, this team was such a fun team to watch in the beginning of the season. They will go to places like Utah. They would go to all these other destinations around the league, and they would just win, right? Obviously, that fell off midpoint and then to the tail end of the season. But I think players are starting to realize there's something brewing here in Chicago. If you're a superstar wanting out, someone like someone like the guy from Utah Jazz. Why is his blank? Donovan Mitchell, yes. Someone like Donovan Mitchell, who wants to leave, and he sees a team like Chicago, like, hey, you know what? They got something over there. Maybe I could be that extra piece that they're missing. You know what I mean? A superstar like that, why they come? I mean, why not? Why wouldn't they? This organization literally completely just turned 180. You know, get rid of Paxson and get rid of Paxson and what's the Foreman? Yep. Those guys leaving, then you bring in Eversley and Carson Novas. This is a completely different organization. You've seen the chemistry. You've seen the guys are having fun. Billy Donovan's a great coach. He's a phenomenal coach. They again, like, why not us? You know, why can't we land someone like that?
I still feel like if you do give Zach LaVine the max contract, that's putting the Bulls in the position of basketball hell. Given the fact like he's not really that guy that will put you over the hump. He's not that guy that will win you in a series or possibly even take you to the playoffs. Let's be honest here. This is all DeMar DeRozan taking us to the playoffs with the help of Zach LaVine. It's not Zach LaVine took us to the playoffs and DeMar. It's not the other way around. So if you give Zach the max contract, I mean, it's what, 5, you get the extra year plus the extra, $40 million, I think it is, Jose, that you get for him being a free agent or signing the contract for the team, right?
Something like that.
Okay,
but my question is this then, right? I get DeMar DeRozan was the reason why we made the playoffs. You know, his level of play this year, got us to where we were. But he doesn't normally play like this, Eric. He wasn't an MVP candidate in prior years. Right. This year was kind of like one of those anomaly years. Like he did his thing. I don't see him replicating this type of season going forward. And with that being said, is he? Do you maybe bait him? Like I guess use him as a trade bait for somewhat for I guess a proven superstar, someone who year in and year out can produce. It's just it kind of gets me thinking. Because he hasn't played like this. He wasn't like this in Toronto. He wasn't like this in San Antonio. This is literally the 1 year. Maybe you could benefit off that. In the offseason. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Who would you rather get rid of, Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan?
That's a good question. I hope that's not a question when anybody has to answer soon, right? Like, and I kind of see what Eric is talking about with, like, Zach not being that guy, and he was in the similar, I talked about Vooch being that guy in Orlando, right? The offense ran through him. Zach was the guy that the offense was running through the last couple seasons with the Bulls, right? And everybody was like, this is the only guy that's actually putting in an effort. The only guy that cares, right? And is performing above everyone else. With the max contract and with DeMar DeRozan, you also said, Jose, that DeMar's never really done this. He has never done what he did that one stretch, right? Like 50% field goal, more than like 30 plus or 35 plus points. Like, he probably will not replicate this next year. And that's why I think giving Zach the amount here, showing him that, like, hey, we want you to be that superstar, may or may not really take him to that next level, but I think he already knows that he's can be good, and even he knows, right? Like, DeMar at his age right now probably not going to produce like he did this season.
Right.
So it's going to be his team at the end of it. Really, at the end of the day, after everything's said, after everyone's paid, it's really going to be his team at the end of it if they give him the max contract. And I think he's going to take that next level for the Bulls.
He has to, because if not, it's not going to work out for us.
Screwed.
No, to me, the answer is actually a lot more easier than what you guys are actually putting it out to be, right? Because I will personally find a way to sign Zach, but also trade him. Do like a little sign and trade.
Oh, okay.
If you want to be creative around it, yes, you're probably not gonna get the same performance from DeMar DeRozan this year, right? You probably may or may not get the same outcome from Vooch, maybe not. But if you do like some type of sign and trade, get whatever value you get back, but also get like a superstar out of it and be like, oh, damn, like these guys are really making a move, then you have the opportunity to build something more, because then you could package something where you could probably bring in, I don't know, maybe a Donovan Mitchell, like we alluded to earlier. Who else is out there disgruntled? The conversation between Rudy Gobert and actually both players, Gobert and Mitchell, coming to the Bulls. I really don't like that. Maybe a DeAndre Ayton, maybe do something like that. There's mainly possible things. To me, it's easier. I think if I were to give the possibility to trade one of them too, I would sign then trade Zach before anything. The Jca Sports Podcast here on Facebook Live. Couple more minutes here with our special guest, Rick Aguilar, the founder of Crack One Media. We're getting you guys we're pre-gaming you guys to the Bulls Game 2 game that's going to be on, in half an hour, guys? Yep. And about 30 minutes, Game 2, Bulls and Bucks. All right, Rick, I see in your background you have the Bulls flag. You got a Bears flag, and I want to say that's the Cubs flag, too, from the championships in 2016.
It is. I got a Blackhawks flag over here. I'm not much of a hockey guy, but I got to represent Chicago no matter what. I got these flags back here for sure.
Are you sure? I mean, hey, so you should see my view of the hockey. I say the regular season is about to start in a couple of weeks. That's just my point of view. These guys, they watch it throughout the whole entire year. But I do want to talk about that flag that you have in the middle in the Chicago Bears. And finally, Matt Eberflus made his appearance with the Bears today, and he had a quote today that kind of got me going too a little bit. He said that the Bears, the players are buying in, and his message to the team was, football comes to the simplest form of execution. What is that? It's alignment, assignment, key and technique, and everybody has that. So in other words, he's down to details. This is a detail formatted guy. Are you excited for what the Bears did in getting not only Matt Eberflus but also Ryan Poles, and have you liked the moves that they made so far?
I have 100% liked the moves for sure. As far as Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles, I like Ryan Poles. He's a former O-lineman, right? For the Bears, actually, not too long ago, probably about a decade or so ago, they signed him, got rid of him. But he's a player and now a GM who kind of knows what it takes to be an NFL guy, right? With Matt Eberflus, defensive-minded guy, we've had some pretty good luck with defensive-minded coaches, except maybe John Fox. John Fox was maybe that one guy that was like, maybe not really, right? But you look at Lovie Smith, defensive-minded coach. Something that really lacked these last few years with Nagy has been the offense. He was the head coach and also the offensive coordinator for like 2 years, and then flip-flop in the middle of like 2 seasons. So I think with Matt Eberflus, the addition of him as a defensive-minded coach, 100% behind that. I love that. And because he's going to let Luke Getsy do what he needs to do with Justin Fields, with Mooney, with just the offense in general. He's going to be like, that is your department. You're going to, be the offensive coordinator, and you're going to get Justin Fields to that next level in year 2. The moves, obviously, I have a Mac jersey, so I was really kind of mad about that one. Not going to lie, but I understand it. At the time, I was like a 6th rounder. Like, really, that's it? That's all you can get from Mac? But they also unloaded his entire contract. All that money gone, which for next offseason, looking towards that, is they're going to have a ridiculous amount of money to spend on either free agents, extending players, whatever it is they want to do. They're going to have a stupid amount of money to do that. So while the moves have been a little bit of a heartbreaker with Mac, leaving to the LA Chargers, they've made sense to me. Kind of taking a step back, from that initial shock, they've made sense to me. And they're bringing in a lot of guys that, like Lucas Patrick, for example, former Green Bay Packer, who's now going to be their center. A guy who could be effective, has played the game and understands or is used to Luke Getsy as well on the offensive side. And, these are moves that aren't like breaking news. You don't see on the front of the NFL.com website or whatever, right? You're not going to see those moves there, but I feel like those are really low key moves that are at the end of the day really going to help out the Bears.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the one thing that we see here with Ryan Poles is that this guy's very detail oriented. He knows exactly what he's going for, what he's looking for. He already has a plan that's in play right now. I guess the real question is, right, like Justin Fields obviously didn't perform well. He wasn't developed as well under the Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy regime.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we can see what happens here. But do you think he even has the potential to be the quarterback that we as Bears fans been wanting for the past 50 years, bro? It's been,
And
we haven't had right. It has to be more, right? We haven't had a quarterback in I don't know how long.
Jay Cutler. I still give credit to Jay Cutler.
You're right. I'll give credit to Cuddy. Right? I'll give credit to Cuddy.
Cuddy, my buddy.
But even then, right? We want somebody like Aaron Rodgers. We want somebody like Tom Brady. We want somebody. Look at all the young quarterbacks. Just name them in AFC, right? Yeah. We want one of those guys. We haven't had that.
No,
can Justin Fields really be that guy?
Man, that's like the question of the century as a Bears fan, right? Like, can this guy be our quarterback of the future? And we've tried it. Like you said, we haven't had a really solid quarterback. And Cuddy was really kind of that guy. It was crazy when Cuddy was our quarterback. He was breaking records that Sid Luckman had.
Right.
Sid Luckman played in the 20s or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy that he is the Bears' second best quarterback in all of its history. Is Justin Fields the guy? I really hope so. There was flashes, right? You saw flashes last year, and he works really hard in the offseason. And I mean, it's said about a lot of quarterbacks, right? Like, oh, this guy works really hard. This guy works really hard during the offseason. I really hope Justin Fields can be that guy, because I just don't think that last year, his rookie year, he was really like unleashed almost, right? Like, the biggest buzzword for the Bears in that offense was RPO, run pass option, with Justin Fields. He has the legs. He's not necessarily a running quarterback, right? But he definitely has the legs to extend plays, to make something out of nothing if he absolutely needs to. You mentioned Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. I would love to have a Tom Brady type of quarterback who sits in the pocket, doesn't see anything, all right, throws it away. It's not a negative play and it's not a positive play, but it's just like a smart decision. That's what Tom Brady's been doing his entire career. He's been making really smart decisions, and he's got 7 Super Bowls out of it, right? Pocket passer for sure, but still 7 Super Bowls. He's the GOAT. I would like to see Justin Fields kind of move up to that next level because he's going to be the quarterback next year, no matter what, or this upcoming season, no matter what.
Right.
He doesn't have Andy Dalton there, kind of just being like, hey, I'm the veteran. I was brought here to start type of mentality. I think with the RPOs, with Luke Getsy, the addition of moving the O line to maximize the protection for him is really going to boost him up in year 2. And I think we see a jump in the positive direction for Justin Fields with all of these things put into play. And he's got a great relationship with Mooney, as we saw last year. So I think that's just going to develop into a greater relationship.
Yeah, you did mention in there, like, he didn't know if he was going to be the starter. And he mentioned that yesterday in his press conference. So last year, my rookie year, he didn't know he was going to start. He didn't know if he was going to play. His mindset's completely different now. And we hope that development, that partnership, not only with Mooney, but, all of his other wide receivers too as well, come into play. With that being said, Rick, is Justin Fields going to be the best quarterback coming out of the quarterback draft or coming out of the quarterback class of this year?
Man, that is a good question because you also have Trey Lance, right? You have Mac Jones, who had a really good year last year, leading the Patriots when nobody really thought he was going to lead them to the playoffs. I think when it's all said and done, Mac Jones just has that first year to kind of build off of. And, we've only seen a year of these guys. Trey Lance, we barely saw. And what's his name from the Jets? The quarterback from the
Zach
Jets.
Wilson.
Zach Wilson, yeah. I didn't see any of them, to be honest, and he's on the Jets, so that sucks for him.
Right.
But I think really it's either going to be, I think it's got to be Mac Jones or Justin Fields. Really, it's really one of those two. But with Belichick there and just the Patriot way, the way they bring up their quarterbacks or quarterback, right? Really, it's just Tom Brady. I think Mac Jones at the end of the day is going to be the best quarterback out of that 21 draft class.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. He's already proven it. I mean, I get that he's with Belichick. I get that, he's in an offense, in a better offensive scheme than all these other quarterbacks were. But but you still got to play. You still got to perform and produce on the field. And he seemed like he knew what he was doing out there. I mean, you come from Alabama, you come from a great coach, Nick Saban, and a great organization there, or university, I guess, in Alabama. Then you come here. It's seamlessly. He just did it so seamlessly. You know what I mean? It was nothing. But Eric, you're making a face. I get it.
I'm trying to think, is Trevor Lawrence a rookie last year too?
He was.
Oh my God.
I'm just gonna forget about Trevor Lawrence like that. Like,
that dude completely escaped my mind.
I'm over here like,
okay. I didn't forget about Trevor Lawrence. And I'm still here saying Mac Jones is a better quarterback.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence has that same like Zach Wilson thing. He's on the Jaguars, man. They're terrible. And Jaguars and the Jets. Right. I don't know what it is with J names, but no offense, Jose.
No,
but,
full offense. Say what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I don't know what it is with the J names in the NFL. But it's just it's not good going for these guys. Trevor Lawrence, I completely forgot about. He escaped my mind. I'm glad you brought him up, but he had a rough start. Can he recover? Absolutely. I just really think Mac Jones going to the playoffs his first year, going from, like Jose said, going from Nick Saban to Belichick, probably going to have a better career.
I mean, how can you not? You have the two best coaches in the NFL, and just in football, period. It's crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
100%. The Jca Sports Podcast here, live on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and all our social media platforms too as well. A few more minutes before we head out. We're trying to get you guys to enjoy the Bulls game. You guys don't want to hear most of us, anyways. You hear us every week, but we have our special guest here, Rick Aguilar from Crack One Media. For a few more minutes before we head out. Baseball, real quick. The Cubs are the surprising team so far of baseball in most people's eyes, but the only reason why is because of the way they've been performing. They've been hitting, although today was just not a good day, or it's not looking like a good day. I don't even know if that game has ended, but regardless of the fact, the way that the Cubs have been performing so far this early in the season, and especially today is Suzuki, are the Cubs going to be that one team that people will keep an eye on, whatever moves they make? Where if they trade Wilson Contreras or they make the playoffs, are the Cubs that one team we have to keep a lookout to make the last playoff spot in the wild card?
Yeah, I think they definitely fight for a wild card. this year. And like you said, man, the hits have been there, the average has been there, the on base percentage has been there. Something that Cubs fans have not seen the last 4 years, I would say. Like I think I was mentioning this on Big League Chicago. Like they probably had more hits in one inning in that series against the Brewers that they had the entire last playoff series against the Marlins. Like it's ridiculous, like how the switch has flipped for the amount of hits and just for the walks too. Like you mentioned, Seiya Suzuki, that dude just either hits a home run, hits a double, or hits a home run, hits a home run or takes a walk, something like that. Like that guy is just automatic.
Right.
So I think I don't want to go, I don't want to go crazy. That first series against the Brewers was probably maybe like a flash in the pan for the Brewers. I do still think it's going to be between them and the Cardinals, even though the Cardinals are probably going to fall off middle of the year like they kind of usually have. But I do think the Cubs are a bit of a surprise team and definitely fight for a wild card spot this season.
Well, that's if they don't start trading away some of these guys who have been playing. Someone like Ian Happ, Wilson Contreras. That happens, then we could kiss any playoff hopes we have alive. But let's talk about the Chicago White Sox, Rick. When this team is supposed to be the team here in Chicago to, win it all. John's the only White Sox fan among us, right? He's not here today.
And you.
But no, I'm not a White Sox fan. but I'm gonna go ahead and take on that mantle for him, right? The White Sox, they have what it takes, but they haven't been able to show that against greater teams. At least last year, and in the postseason, they only won the last two postseasons. They only won one game. And they got bounced off the first round. What do they have to do this year to at least, I guess, advance? Not just advance out the first round, but just get to the World Series.
Yeah, I think they've started off pretty badly, right? And not games wise. I mean, just like their roster. A lot of guys on the IL started off pretty badly. They got their guy that they got in the offseason, Pollock, already. On the IL, Giolito on the IL. They got a lot of these guys hurt and a lot of their star players, so it's kind of a rough start for them, and they're still somehow getting these wins, and it's good because they really are the team in Chicago that is expected to go far, especially after their first round exit, last year against the Astros, which was a tough series for them. The Astros are still a good team, cheaters, but still a good team.
They won it all, no?
Yeah. Oh no! They
went to the World Series. I mean, they went to the World Series.
Oh yeah, for sure. And but yeah, the White Sox have the pitching. They've got the offense for sure. Like, I wish Jack was here because he could tell you all about their offense. But man, they've got, like, anytime we talk White Sox and Jack mentions the name, I'm like, yep, that guy's a slugger. Oh, that guy too. Oh, him. I'm like, wow, you guys are just full from top to bottom, right? And their pitching obviously suffered because Giolito's on the IL, but Dylan Cease has been doing really well. And like you said, I think they're going to take the Central in the AL, like, no problem. Yeah. I can't see the Tigers really competing, although they have, Javi there kind of lighting it up for them. But they should take the Central easily. And, as the season goes on, I think once everybody's healthy, once everybody's off the IL, they're going to definitely perform to their maximum, potential. And you're going to see them go way further than the first round.
I don't know why a lot of people just keep sleeping on the Twins. I feel like just keep a side eye on the Twins. I know it's early in the season, but the Twins, they didn't pick up Carlos Correa for no reason. True. They can have a run in them too. I know it's just the beginning of the season, and I know we shouldn't get excited about the Cubs and the White Sox right now they're the legitimate favorites coming out of the American League to reach the World Series and probably even win it all. But again, they need that division to be tougher. Just keep a side eye on the Twins. So that's just me. But yeah, absolutely right, man. Deontay goes on Facebook and he says, Sox offense didn't show up for the first game of the doubleheader today. No, absolutely. They got rocked, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
Something like that. I know it was like 10-0, like in the fifth inning or something last time I checked up on them. So that was that was a fun day. But then the Cubs, they're doing the same thing right now too.
Yeah, well, they're on a delay right now. So the game is delayed, but they're down 8-2. And as Deontay mentioned, they lost both. They lost both both games to the White Sox did.
Yeah.
Going back into the basketball because we are in the NBA playoffs. Rick, I'm curious to know who do you have going to the finals in the East and the West, and who takes it all?
We actually had a really controversial take on the Big League Chicago the other day. I said, if I'm not mistaken, I was taking the Celtics because of their defense and how good their defense has been. I don't think, mostly because the Bucks have kind of shown a bit of a weakness with the Bulls here, and since the Celtics are really good on defense, I think once they get into that next round, they're really gonna give the Bucks a run for their money with the defense. Out of the West, I'm pretty sure I said the Suns again. Booker is just he's a superstar, right? When we talk about superstars, he is now that guy. He brought Phoenix out of the ruins a few years ago, and really in the bubble, I forget who mentioned it on the episode, but really in the bubble when they went, undefeated in the bubble, it still didn't make the playoffs. That's when it was like, oh man, Booker and the Suns, they're going to make some noise. And look where they're at. They were in the finals last year. They're going to be in the finals this year against the Celtics. And really, I think the Suns win it this year and the Celtics come up short.
He's out the next two games. Hopefully, New Orleans takes it easy on him because that's a young, hungry team.
True.
That's a young, hungry team. One more question.
Yeah.
Again, there's a huge debate on this show as who should be the face of the NBA. We had Quincy from Top 5 Sports on last week, and he agreed with me. Well, I wanted to ask you. I wanted to hear what your opinion is. We have the note. I'm a huge Giannis Antetokounmpo fan, right?
He has his jersey on under that shirt, bro.
I think he's the face in the NBA. Both Eric and John disagree and say it's Kevin Durant.
So are we kind of is the question more geared toward like who is the face of the NBA like right now?
Yeah, like who would you give that edge to? Or how about this? Who's the best player in the NBA right now? Is it Giannis? Is it Kevin Durant? Or is it somebody else that you do? Or do you think it's someone else that's not one of those two guys?
Man, that's a really good question. I think just in the last few seasons, you have to say Kevin Durant. And don't get me wrong, like I love Giannis. Like last season, when they won, and he took his hat. He put his hat on, sat down in the stands and just put his arms up and was just like taking in the moment. I was like, that guy right there, that guy's a winner, right? Like that's an awesome moment to take it all in. But if we're talking about best player right now, I still think Kevin Durant has shown consistency and he's just good, man. Like you can't get away from his shot and he is just killing it year in, year out. Giannis is a great player, gonna be a Hall of Famer one day. But Kevin Durant, I think right now is probably the best player in the NBA.
Okay, well, you got someone on your side, Eric. It's a debate. It's a great debate.
I think, yeah, I think so too, and especially for right now, right? Like Giannis won the NBA championship. He's just such a big physical player, but. Just at the end of the day, if Kevin Durant for me, if you were wanting to say who's the face of the NBA, who's the guy that I would put up on all the NBA posters, maybe around the world, it'd probably be LeBron, right? Like most recognizable, but best player, Kevin Durant for sure.
Okay. Fair enough. Good point.
Who's your special guest coming right behind you a couple times in the show? Your little pup, your dog.
Oh, that's my dog Nimbus. Yeah.
Nimbus, nice.
He's hanging around the office.
Nimbus? Did you name him after the flying Nimbus in Dragon Ball Z?
No, close. Although I do remember that.
Okay.
I'm a Harry Potter nerd, so after his broom, Nimbus.
There you go. Nice. What kind of dog?
He's a mutt. We didn't even know what he was. We thought he was a Labrador. This guy's like a boxer, a husky, and a lab mix. Like he is just everything. That's
a true definition of a mutt for sure. The Jca Sports Podcast, guys, we're cutting it a little bit short so we can enjoy the basketball game, so I could get out of work and head up. We'll go home and watch the game. Rick Aguilar, the founder of Crack One Media. Hey man, where do we find you on the social media?
So for me, you could obviously the crackonemedia.com. You could check out the blog and the podcasts there. On Twitter, I'm at andnowrick, so ANDNOWRICK, as well as on Instagram, and then the Crack One Media is on Instagram as well, so at Crack One Media on IG.
There you go, Rick. We'd like to thank you for hopping on the show.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see you even more often later on in the future episodes as well. Jose, thank you for coming back, man. I did not miss you. I miss more Deontay and CP than anything. So I hope I see them sooner. But Rick, thank you for hopping on the show. Jose, another good episode.
Thank you.
This is the Jca Sports Podcast here on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Guys, make sure you follow all our episodes on Spotify and Anchor. Make sure you like and share our shows on Facebook and all the other social media platforms too as well. Until next time, the Jca Sports Podcast. We'll see you on Monday, and let's go Bucks for this sweep. What do you guys think? No?
No.
Well, all right, let's go Bucks on the sweep. All right, see you guys later.
See ya.
What a finish!
Oh my God, Jose.
Take two.
What a finish! Wow, that is unfreaking believable. What a way for a ball game to end.
Oh, that's what happened. Oh, that's terrible. My God. The humanity.
They may be the drunkest couple in the history of sporting events.
I loved his face.
I would suspect that fan is done for the night. Here's the thing. When you steal something, don't wear it.